Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me spend some time with you today. I do appreciate it. Before we get into what we're looking at today, don't forget to push all the good buttons. You know where they are, all the clickety-click things you do. And I need to remind you, books are available at authorjerrymitchell.com, or you can go to givegodnani.com and follow the link from there. Okay? All right. We live in a time where it's necessary. Let's just put it that way. It's necessary to wonder, what's real, what's AI, what's imaginary. Is this something that, is what I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing, right? It's necessary. And the point I want to make is it's always been necessary. Okay? It's always been necessary. In the last episode, I may have not done the best job of explaining why we shouldn't superimpose Greek polytheistic philosophy onto the Hebrew concept of reality. So let me try this again, because I think those things kind of meld together. What we think of as ancient Hebrew culture, Hebraic culture, is a culture that bases all of its beliefs on the fact that everything we can see, smell, hear, taste, touch was created by God. That is their reality. Everything was created, but it doesn't stop there. Even the abstract concepts, I can't talk today. Even the abstract concepts like numbers or ideas, the ideas that can later become reality, also come from our Creator. Now, numbers are nothing more than a way to keep track of things, right? They aren't real. Huh? We can write a number on something, we can touch it, but by itself, without it representing anything, there's, it's simply an abstract concept. It has no physical bearing. And I'm not talking about abstract art here, okay? Abstract means something exists like an idea or a number, but it doesn't have any physical existence of its own. Okay? Numbers, yeah, they exist, but, the number 1, for instance, it's where we begin to assign a value for something that actually does have a physical existence. Now, you can also, I have a number of ideas. None of them work. Well, if you can't turn that idea into reality, then, even though you might have 10 bad ideas, right, you can still put a number on that bad group of ideas. You get what I'm saying, right? Ideas that we have are abstract because until we are able, right, to cause them to become reality, they have no physical existence. It's that simple. The light bulb, for existence, was, it was first an idea, and after many, many failed attempts, right, it finally became, Edison was finally able to manufacture it into something real, right? A rock by itself physically exists. It can be used like a hammer. But someone was given the talent and the ability to think by our Creator, and they said, if I fasten a stick to this, I'm going to get more leverage out of it, more power, and it could be used more effectively. Someone can take that same rock and throw it at something, but eventually somebody said, how can I make this go farther and go faster? And eventually, they developed the sling, and David was able to kill Goliath. Now, here's something I'm going to say, and it might confuse you just a little bit. I hope not. I hope you can understand where I'm headed with this. We don't need to be present at an event and witness it for it to be real. We rely on the testimony of the people who were there. I wasn't born when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. Contrary to the popular belief of my granddaughters, they think I'm that old. For some reason, I'm really not. Okay? But there were people there who were able to testify to the fact that it really happened. Miracles happen. No one alive today was there to witness the crossing of the Red Sea, but because there were about 1 million people who were there to testify to what they saw, we can be certain it happened. Personally, I have never been to Japan. I've never been to Australia, but I know these places are there. They are real because I've met people from there, right? I've met people from Japan. I've met people who have gone to Japan and came back, right? I spent, I think it was about a summer. There was a fellow from New Zealand, which is not technically Australia, but it's close enough, who came to work on one of the ranches that I was working on. I know these places exist. I also know they exist because I look at the statistics and I see where people are from. And I have listeners in Australia. I have listeners in Japan. Thank you very, very, very much. I really do appreciate it. So the evidence is also there. We have the testimony. We have the evidence. The Hebrew concept of reality is not a fairy tale. It's not something that was made up out of legends. It is a concept based on the testimony of the people who were there in the past and the evidence of the events that are described in the Bible that show us, yes, these events actually happened. They were real. They existed. And here is where the Greek polytheistic philosophy comes into play. Plato lived in the late 5th and early 4th centuries BC and is considered to be a father of philosophy. The problem is that Plato didn't just think outside the box, right? We hear that term a lot. Hey, you got to think outside the box. Plato wondered even if there was a box, okay? It's just who he was. His thought process was to believe that what we felt was truth. Now, if what I feel is true, maybe I feel like I'm a gazillionaire, right? And my bank account doesn't agree. The physical reality defeats what I feel, okay? So a lot of people over the years have been persuaded by this philosophy, and some attempt to amplify that, right? They take the thought process that would say, this apple that I'm holding in my hand isn't really there, even though they can physically feel it, they can smell it. If they bite into it, they can taste it. But they think, is it real? Am I real? Is everything I'm seeing real? Is it just a dream? That is the Platonic philosophy. To the polytheistic Greek philosopher, if someone hears thunder and they don't see the lightning, was that thunder real? Did I really hear that? Am I imagining that? Or, maybe they go a little bit farther and say, well, which one of the gods, gods with a little g there, would cause thunder without lightning? Could a god cause thunder without lightning? Why would a god make thunder without lightning? That's kind of strange. You get the idea there, right? Philosophy eventually ends up not only questioning what is real, it questions itself. And sometimes we look at something real and say, how can that be? We're not questioning the reality of what we're seeing. We're questioning how that could be real. Plato dealt a lot with what we have come to call the metaphysical. Now, these are ideas or concepts that can never, ever have any physical existence, nor can they express any physical trait or even be manufactured into something physical. People for years have been attempting to come up with perpetual motion. They haven't yet. People for a long time have been trying to come up with all kinds of concepts, frictionless bearings. Whenever two things rub together, doesn't even matter if it's air rubbing together, it's friction. Now, this is, I need to be careful how I explain this, because it's different than emotion. Feeling something outside of reality is different than emotion, right? But emotion is often manufactured into reality. Now, I'm not going to even pretend to say that I can see into my wife's heart. I can read her mind. That is not a thing, okay? But how can I be sure when she says I love you that she really means it? It's a true feeling. It's a real feeling. And it manufactures itself because that emotion that she feels is then displayed into the physical reality by the things that she does that shows she loves me. Probably the most important is she puts up with a lot of the things I've done, over the 35 years we've been together. Husbands, you know what I'm saying, right? It's different than someone saying, well, I just feel, and you can fill in the blanks there. We were at a church service many years ago, and there was a passage read from Matthew 13. It ended with verses 49 and 50. So it will be at the end of the age, the angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, there was someone sitting next to us who said, oh, I just feel God wouldn't do that. You see, they've been sitting there listening to the same message we were sitting there listening to, but they refused to understand the reality of judgment because they just felt that way. It didn't fit with the way they thought God should act. You see, they were attempting to superimpose their philosophical ideas onto the Creator himself. They were more than willing to accept all the blessings he has to offer, but not the judgment. That's where they stopped. Well, we can say that's where they stopped believing, right? That they were truly attempting to superimpose philosophical ideas onto the reality of God himself as he is revealed through the Hebraic concepts of who God is based on the evidence and testimony of so many people in the past. It's that simple. It's that simple. Now, I want you to remember Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can even understand it? Just because we feel something should be true doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it true. We can't force our feelings, our truth, onto the reality of what is actually true, truly true, I could say, I guess. Because when we try to do that, it leads to confusion and eventually disappointment. Well, I just felt it should be this way. And when it turns out not to be, we're confused and disappointed. So, something to think about until next time is this. Are you trying to create our God, our Creator, in the image of what you want Him to be? Or are you willing to face the reality that He created you in His image and He's asking you to be what He wants you to be? Are you the potter or are you the clay? As Isaiah so aptly put it. Until next time, think about these things and many, many blessings, everyone.